Hello, everyone. Welcome to this live case study. I am so excited to have you here. My name is Sunny Lenarduzzi. If you're not familiar, welcome to my page. And I'm going to be joined with Jill Therese in just a second here. I did just want to quickly introduce what today is all about. I could not be more excited to share this story with you. And I know you're going to get so much out of it. So let's dive into some of the details of who we're going to be talking to today. So we're talking to Jill Therese. Jill is a former acne sufferer who cleared her skin naturally after struggling for 15 years with it. And she'd pretty much tried everything. And in that struggle, she actually discovered her own signature method to help others heal their acne from the inside out. But her biggest challenge was, how do I actually turn this into a real, profitable, scalable business? So a little bit of background before we jump in. In 2019, Jill was working full-time and going to school part-time, and her business was only bringing in about $10,000 a year. In 2020, and enduring some major obstacles that year, even despite that, she did $57,000 in revenue with her online course. And in 2021, in just 6 months, she's generated $52,000. So she's basically doubled and is on track to pass 6 figures this year with her online course. So excited to have Jill here. And Jill is one of our Authority Accelerator clients. I've been on this journey with Jill for a long time, and I'm just more than thrilled for her progress and her success. And I know it's going to really share a lot of light bulbs with you and a lot of ideas for how you can bring maybe your side hustle or just even your idea to life as a highly scalable online course. If you're excited for today's training, let me know with a yes in the comments, and let us know where you're tuning in from as well. And if you happen to be catching the replay, let us know in the chat when this is the replay. But right now we are live. We're about to dive in. Hi, Jahed. Nice to have you here. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know your takeaways throughout the training today. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on Jill. Hi, Jill. How are you? Oh, you're muted. Let's unmute you.
Hello. I knew I was going to do that.
Oh, that's okay. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so well. I'm so happy to have you here. And we have Thomas is here from Utah. We have Ayla here from North Texas. Billy's here from Texas as well. Hi, Sophie from Chicago. Sripa. Hi, how are you? Awesome. So, Jill, I'm so excited to dive into this training with you. And first and foremost, I mean, you have been in the Authority Accelerator for quite a while, and you've seen a lot of other people do these with me.
Yep.
And how does it feel to be here?
Oh my gosh, it's so cool. I'm so excited. I think this was one of my dreams when we first started. It definitely was. I was like, one day she's going to interview me and I'm going to talk about my amazing transformation. It was totally on the mental dream board. So I'm really excited to be here.
I love it. Well, we're so excited to have you here. If this is something that you're pumped to tune into, make sure you hit that like button. Also, be sure to hit the share button so more people can see this. Today's training and case study is going to be so value packed because Jill's story is so relatable. If you are somebody who has a side hustle, if you are somebody who is trying to get your business off the ground, if you're a service-based entrepreneur and you're trying to figure out how to scale your expertise, and also if you're trying to discover your expertise, I just think you're going to get so much out of this. So hit that like button and be sure to hit the share button, and let's dive into it, Jill. So first and foremost, you really started this whole thing as a side hustle 5 years ago. So tell me more about kind of how you got into this.
So, fun fact, I think I'm a little bit like technically kind of like a serial entrepreneur, and that I had a few little things before this ultimately became the main hustle and the main goal. So I originally came to New York City in 2008, fun fact, to be an actress. And I worked my butt off. I had this crazy level of work ethic and energy when I was 21 years old. And I worked doubles all the time at this restaurant. So 12 to 15 hour shifts. And in the middle of the day, I would go to Barnes & Noble to read. And one day I got a book about the 4-hour work week. It was like on the shelf, right? Everyone knows that book. And at the time I was waitressing and hostessing, worked like 80-hour weeks, barely can stand up. I was so tired. And one night I was like scrawling at the hostess stand, like how much money I was going to make versus how much I was working. And I realized like I might die if I try to physically work that much. And at the time I was reading the 4-Hour Work Week, and I thought, oh, I had this big kind of epiphany around building an online business and what the possibilities were for you, because I realized I couldn't trade my time for money, which I know we talk a lot about in the Authority Accelerator. And my doorbell's ringing. Please ignore that. I have no idea why. So, yeah, I have no idea.
Who are you, person?
Who are you?
Do you know what we're doing?
Not the time. Not the time. Hopefully they'll stop. So yeah, I started it. The idea of an online business came to me in 2008. And I had a bunch of little things that I did before I began Heal Your Face with Food, actually. And all of them were pretty bad, but fun.
Well, let's talk about that, because I think that's such a common thing. And tell us if you can relate in the comments about basically trying to figure out the right business model for you. So you kind of try everything, you know, and it is really common in the beginning if you don't have the right guidance and you don't have the right roadmap to follow or blueprint to follow from somebody who's been there and done that. And so when you were getting started, I know you had so many different business models. So let's talk about all the different things that you tried.
Yeah, so I've definitely done in-person stuff, physical products, ebooks, one-to-one coaching, and then online one-to-one coaching. But I've literally done all the things before I came to Authority Accelerator. And I was finishing kind of like, I feel like I got so many different lessons from all those different experiences. And by the time I came to the Authority Accelerator, I was in desperate need of clarity, because I realized all the things that hadn't worked. And I saw all the things that didn't scale as well. Because again, like, I'm not short on work ethic, as you know, no one really who wants to be an entrepreneur is necessarily short on work ethic. It's more like expertise and guidance that you need more than anything.
Right. And if you all are here and you're watching and this is resonating with you, be sure to hit that like button. And just so everybody's clear, I mentioned this at the beginning, but if you are just tuning in, so Jill is a client in our Authority Accelerator program. She's been able to take her side hustle, which was doing about $10,000 a year, to now a 6-figure online program. And she helps people heal their acne from the inside out, which is very related to your own story. And I just wanted to mention, if you are interested in taking your idea, your concept, and turning it into a highly scalable online course, the link to apply is right there on the screen. It's sunnylenarduzzi.com/apply. And I'm just going to actually drop that in the chat as well, because I know there's a few people here who are like, that sounds really interesting to me. And it is so aligned. What you do is so aligned with your own story. I obviously know your story really well, and I kind of spoke about it at the beginning, but tell me more about how your business is so aligned with your own transformation and in your own story that you've been through.
Yeah. So over the years, like I said, I knew I had become obsessed with kind of health and wellness naturally. And I had actually cleared my acne naturally, I think in around like 2011-ish, and had still all these other little online businesses or businesses. So I taught fitness. And that was a lesson in scale, because I was like, oh, I cannot duplicate my human self. And I can only teach so many classes, right? And then I had a physical product, which was like a vegan skincare company. And I had 1,900 samples that needed to be delivered when Hurricane Sandy descended upon New York City. So I got a lesson in organization planning and just operations, and overestimating my own personal abilities to pack, box, and send 1,900 samples in a day. And so by the time I had gotten to kind of 2013-ish, I was really clear on what didn't work, and also what I wanted my life to be about. Because when you're building a business, it deeply impacts your life. And I really wanted to positively impact people with health and wellness. And I wanted to be able to also have a life of freedom, make my own schedule, all the things. And so they all came together for me one day, really after that packaging the physical products incident, where I realized, wait. I don't even think that like topical products are the answer to clearing your acne. I think that it's food. And that's how I cleared my skin. So wait, maybe. And this was actually in 2013 that I started it. I totally misquoted myself because it was a while ago. It was longer than 5 years. But so I had this realization that I could maybe help other people do the same thing that I did. And again, that was a long time ago, 2013. The internet was different. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the things were so different then. So I really wanted to help people and also create a life that worked for me.
Yeah. And I love that you spoke about you realized what didn't work and that helped you discover what did work. Because I do think that is a part of the journey and it's a natural part of the journey. But I also want to highlight that piece because if you're somebody right now who is trying to figure out what the heck to make a business about, you don't know what your expertise is, it is often the thing that's like right in front of you and we do take it for granted. And so you had struggled with your skin for 15 years. And I mean, your skin is flawless now. I said to you when you got on here, I'm like, wow, you look amazing. And since I've known you, your skin has been perfection, basically, which has been years now. And so I guess it's understanding like how you sort of came to the root of, okay, I did this for myself. This is a problem I solved for myself. There's probably other people out there who need that help. And I think that's something to sort of marinate on right now. If you're watching this, what is a problem that you've solved for yourself? That often is your niche. Your niche is not out there. It's not external. It's not trying all the things. Oftentimes your niche is living inside of you. And so for you, when it came to your skin, how did it affect you? Like, why was it such a painful thing for you?
So when you have acne, especially when I had acne, the late 90s, early 2000s, there were like 3 makeup colors. There was white AF, there was medium, and then there was very, very dark. And I'm terrible at makeup anyways. So like trying to cover the acne was like a joke at the time. Dermatologists don't, at the time, I haven't been one for acne in a long time, but there was this constant dismissal about food and nutrition. I would always go into dermatologists and I'd be like, so do you think that like my Dr. Pepper, jelly beans, Skittle pizza diet could be like causing this issue? And they'd be like, no, you're crazy. It was always a big dismissal and I felt dumb and unseen every single time for 15 years. And they would offer me the birth control pill that would make me gain a ton of weight or just have these horrible negative impacts on mental health, all the things. Or they'd offer me Accutane, which like comes with a warning sign, a skull on the bottle at the time. I'm not kidding. There was a skull on the bottle about like how dangerous it was. And I was like, I'm not doing this. And so kind of to what you just said, your point about kind of finding your business in your life at the time as well. I was working on Wall Street when I first began this job, when I first began to interface with food. And I saw a lot of money. Like I saw the ability to make a lot of money in finance. And I'd sit there at the end of the day and be like, I could make a ton of money in this job, but like, why? Why? Like who am I impacting? I'm not necessarily one who's very driven by like a ton of material stuff. And so I started to ask myself, like, how can I create freedom, to your point, by doing something that is purpose-driven for myself? And that really led me back to what you were just saying, my own pain of not feeling seen at dermatologist's office, never feeling like I was ever heard. And like, that is actually what makes me so good at what I do now, because every time I speak to a potential client or anyone in my audience, I know exactly what their pain is. I have been there. And so not only am I able to positively impact them, but I create a life that works for me as well. So it's not ever just about like, because again, I don't know, just being on Wall Street, you're just exposed to a lot of money. And at the end of the day, you're like, why do you need, like, there has to be something bigger than this. And so, you know, if someone's watching and they have like a deep pain, kind of to your point, that they have solved, like that's the gold, right? Because then you can help other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just find it so fascinating. I think we're conditioned to think that the thing that we're meant to do or where success is going to come from for us is external, because we're taught we're not good enough. Our stories are not valid. We're not worthy of being heard or seen. So why would anybody listen to what we have to say? And why would anybody want to invest in the solution that we have provided for ourselves? But I mean, you are really proof of that. And I think the really interesting thing about your niche and the space that you're in, and we work with people in the Authority Accelerator in all different walks of life and niches and all the things. It's like accountants, doctors, lawyers. You help people heal their acne with food. food. I mean, it's really all over the place. But with your specific niche, it's like anybody in the beauty industry, it's hard to comprehend, and I'm sure it was for you, how you take something that is often done in person, where you have to touch the person's skin and, you know, really be able to do a diagnosis, how you take that and you turn it into an online program. How did you navigate that for yourself?
So I think a lot of, and again, this was a while ago that I kind of began to navigate it, but a lot of it I see it all the time in what you do with Authority Accelerator. So much of it is just starting. And like, I remember saying to myself, okay, I need to help other people do this. How do I do this? And I thought, well, I could just ask them a bunch of questions and right, which is the ideal, you know, looking at potential clients and seeing like, what do they need? And then I can give them what they need that's also rooted in what I did and see how it works for them. And so, and then with every experience, you get better, and every problem you get better too. So the more people's skin I saw, the more research I did. Now you can send me a picture of your skin and I know exactly why you're breaking out. I know exactly what you need to do. I know how long it's going to take. I know what challenges you're going to have. But that took a lot of experimentation and also just like looking at feedback too. Again, we do that so much in the Authority Accelerator. We're constantly looking at our KPIs, our numbers, and I'm looking at client numbers too. Like, how long is it taking them to get the results that I want? What systems are working for them versus what aren't? I'm constantly analyzing the data, which is definitely something you've taught me that I've not been that great at.
I think I honestly just got so excited when you were talking about KPIs, because I have been on this journey with you, and we have so many clients who come into the Authority Accelerator who are brand new to business, really. And they're like, sorry, what? I have to look at my numbers. What kind of numbers? And we do lay it all out for you. And we say, these are the metrics you need to study. And you are living proof for me of how powerful that is, because the moment you started to really understand your numbers in the way that we teach it, you started to really take off and scale.
Yeah.
So it's so important. And just to have that level of like protection and security of how to predict and create projections for your business allows you that security to know, oh, I can grow this. This is working. Right. Even when it feels like it's not, you know, it's working.
And these action steps will ultimately lead me X, Y, and Z, right?
Yes.
And I think I always did really well in school and I'm very creative, but a big problem of mine has been like putting them together. Like I can get an A on a test for sure, all good. And I can like create a really fun strategy for something. But sometimes for some reason prior to Authority Accelerator, I just like really had a hard time putting the creative, the strategic with like the KPIs, the business, the measurements, the data. For some reason, I just didn't understand how they meshed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally understand that. And a lot of people don't. But once you get the clear picture, those numbers become your growth predictors. They are the sole reason that you can create consistent revenue month over month and consistent growth. And something I really want to talk to you about, which I know there's a lot of people here who will be curious about this, is pricing. Because I know it was one of the biggest journeys that you and I went on together, because you were underpricing yourself like crazy in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I do want to touch on that. We're going to get to that in a second. If you are enjoying this, give us a yes in the chat below. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Just to do a quick little recap, Jill is one of our clients in the Authority Accelerator, which basically is our signature program. We call it a business in a box, because it basically takes you from nothing, zero, to creating a highly scalable online course business. We give you everything that you need to know in the entire blueprint using our rocket methodology. Jill is living proof of that. So be sure to give this a like if you're enjoying it. Be sure to share it out if you think there's other people who need to hear this. I know there are. Hi, Cindy. Thank you so much. Hi, Sripa. Hi, Louise. Hi, Christine from Edmonton. I know we have people from South Africa tuning in. There's people all over the place, so this is awesome. And I'll drop the link again for if you are at a place where you want to create an online program or an online course, apply to speak to a real human being so that we can help you figure out, you know, what the best road is for you with your online program. And I'll put that link in the live as well, so you can see the bottom of the screen. But so let's talk about 2020, because if you were here at the beginning of this live, I mentioned that, you know, you've been doing this, Jill, you've been doing this as a side hustle for a long time. You corrected yourself. It's actually been about 8 years that you've been doing this as a side hustle. And in 2019, you were going to school part-time and you were working full-time. And you were also trying to make this business grow where you help others heal their acne from the inside and out. And in all of 2019, you brought in about $10,000. In 2020, despite having some huge obstacles, you did $57,000 and you're actually doubled that so far this year in just 6 months. So in 2020, let's just talk about that year, because I know that everything was thrown at you in 2020 and you still managed to grow your business exponentially. So let's walk through that.
So I remember December of 2019, I can talk about pricing too, because this totally relates. Even in December 2019, I think, or was it 2018? You can correct me if I'm wrong, but we had a come to Jesus moment in a December. So it must have been 2019, where we were chatting back and forth and you were like, you are undervaluing what you do in the world, period.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but yeah, maybe she's right. Yeah. And I really had a lot of time with myself and I did like a huge emotional pivot in December in terms of changing the pricing. And I began to steadily increase it until we are where we are now with it. And I can show that if you want me to, I don't know.
We'll talk about that in a second because it's very exciting. I do want to talk about the pricing because it's a wild journey that you've been on.
So then January and February came and I was taking what we had said and applying it like crazy. And I had like the best months of revenue ever. I think I did like, I don't know, 5K in February or something. And that was like a great month. 2020, I was like, the world is amazing. And I remember I was walking down the street in Manhattan with a friend and I was like, and my ex-partner at the time had just gotten a new job. He had been laid off for a year and I was fully supporting him for all of 2018. Everything was coming together. And then March 13th, New York City hit. And I mean, my life really has never been the same since that day. And we decided as a couple to leave New York City at the time. I had been sitting in a coffee shop on like March 10th. And there was a girl next to me and, you know, COVID was all the discussion. And she was saying that she had just come back from Hong Kong and she wasn't feeling well. And I just remember being like, you're sneezing a lot and you seem very ill. And then the next day there was a press conference in New York. One of some people was saying there were 100 New Yorkers with COVID. And Sunny, I was like, I ride the subway every day and I know the R0 number, which is like the contagiousness of this. There are not 100. There are 10,000 people with this virus. Mm-hmm. And tomorrow it's going to be 30K. And I was like, we need to leave. And so we left New York City and right on schedule, 7 days later, I could not get out of bed. And I didn't have to go to the hospital. I went to the hospital towards the end of my experience with COVID and it was horrible. It's everything you would expect. And again, this was so early on, but I had really significant symptoms for about 3 weeks. I lost 10 pounds in 3 weeks.
Wow.
I couldn't taste. I had 102-degree fever for 3 weeks. The fatigue was like nothing I've ever experienced, and I'll forever mark any fatigue ever in my life by that fatigue. Because sometimes, you know, not to be dramatic or triggering, but I would go to bed and just pray to wake up because I felt so horrible. Mm-hmm. And throughout that time, that being said, obviously I can't work if I was sleeping 18 hours a day. And I was still like my YouTube, everything I learned with Authority Accelerator was still running. And so I remember the first real day I could get up and sit up, I had a sales call scheduled with someone because they had found me from YouTube. And, you know, here I am, I'm like coming out of this fog of this situation and I made a sale the day after I got up. And I was like, life is okay. Life is going to be okay. And then I had a very violent ending and unexpected ending to a relationship that I was deeply, deeply cared about, and left the house that I was staying in for like COVID, went to stay with my parents. And then 4 weeks later, I think it was like 3 weeks later, my father, a very high risk person, got very sick with COVID.
Mm.
And I had to care for him for about a month, and I was not working. Like, I was not actively posting, or I remember I showed up because I have like consulting calls.
Yeah.
Like, and so I would show up for those, obviously, with my clients, and I showed up for my clients, and it really actually like kept me sane, even though it was hard, it's like to be taking care of him and then jump on a client call. It was still kind of like, it was a respite a little bit.
Yeah.
And then thankfully he made it. He also lost like 20 pounds in 2 weeks. It was utterly horrible.
Yeah.
So, and again, so then by the end of June, I had just been through like kind of 3 months of hell, and I'm still trying to like figure out, well, I'm looking to work and my business as a respite. Like, this is something I can escape to mentally and not have to deal with this pandemic all the time at the front of my mind. And so I came back to New York City at the end of June. And again, my business had been growing from a leads perspective and even sales a little bit too, because I was able to at points kind of work a little bit here and there. And so by the time I came back to New York at the end of June, I was like,
sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry. I'm going to mute myself. I'm
love
so sorry.
Z, love
Muggsy, not the time. Stand by. Okay, go ahead.
I just kind of came back to New York at the end of June, and I was like, this was hell. And I need like a win, I guess, right? And I had all the tools, and my business had been growing steadily, technically, on YouTube and from a leads perspective. And then July, I just applied. Frankly, I just lived in my business a little bit to just escape the stuff that had been happening around me. And I had my first 10K month in July after like
Yay.
3 months of literal hell on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because of all the systems that I had built that were still running behind the scenes when I couldn't actively do anything else.
And I think that's the most incredible part, is that we all know life throws us curveballs, and Lord knows after this last 16, 18, let's just call it 2 years, it has been a lot, and there has been so much thrown at us. And even from the perspective of maybe you didn't get COVID, but if you were even just paying attention, you had mental effects from the stress of what was happening around you. And so to be able to step away from your business as an entrepreneur and to know that you have the security of leads are still coming in, sales are still coming in, and the fact that you had that while struggling with COVID, while taking care of your father and him getting COVID and him being high risk, and also going through a breakup, and this all happening in a very short period of time. Never did you probably need a business like this more than at that time.
I actually don't know how I would have kept a normal job, like, a 9 to 5, because I really, those 18 days when I was sick myself, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks I was sick myself, I slept 18 hours a day. And then there was like these 3 weeks of beauty in the middle of it all. I think it was like April 1st to like April 5th to like April 12th. Life was good. And I made sales. And then my life fell apart with my relationship. And then I went down to family. And then, if anyone, I want to be sensitive to people if they're listening and they know someone who's had COVID, because it's really traumatic, but like, it's a full-time job the whole day. You're not like able to do anything else. And that was a month of him. So I don't know how I would have had a normal job. I don't know how I would have kept my job.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you would have been able to. It would have been very difficult. And I think kudos to you, because I know you were really like a little overwhelmed at the beginning, and you were like, oh my gosh, how do I actually get this business set up so it can work without me? But again, the timing of everything is so interesting, because if you hadn't have done the work to set it up and do the work that we lay out, then I don't know what you would have done during that time. You would have figured it out. We always figured out you're a tough cookie. You would have done it. But it's just to have that security, to know you had this business that was running without you, I'm sure was a huge relief for you during that time.
It really was.
And it's amazing that you took what was a really challenging period of your life and you used it almost as fuel to get super focused. And also probably because you had that security with your business, you're like, I'm going all in on this because God forbid if anything else happens, I want to make sure that this business is really crushing it, you know? So with that being said, what do you think was sort of like the turning point for you or the tipping point for you in 2020, because to be able to go from this side hustle that you were doing for 8 years, I just have to emphasize that 8 years as a side hustle while working full time, working on Wall Street, working in finance, and then also going part-time school. What do you think was the tipping point when you were in the Authority Accelerator and you're like, okay, I need to go all in on this? And you were able to do over 50K last year with your online course and have this like sort of really exponential growth. What do you think was the tipping point for you?
I think there are 3 main ones. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
So the first one is the systems, like, again, this meshing of creativity and like, I can get an A on a test type skill set. The systems that you share in Authority Accelerator are like, I just don't think that way, but they're what's needed. And so seeing your systems and being like, oh, that is how the things in my brain are actually going to happen. That was a huge thing, like seeing the example of it. Number 2, seeing a lot, this has been a big inspiring part of Authority Accelerator, is I see a lot of your other clients like literally killing it. And I'm constantly celebrating them because I really believe that a rising tide lifts all boats, number 1. And number 2, I'm just always like, why not me? Like, so I'm watching these models of mind-blowing success constantly. And I'm like, why can't that be you, Jill? Number 2. And then number 3, I will say personally, like, this is going to sound a little counterintuitive, but like, I really did have such intense brushes with like mortality last year, and I lost a lot. And when you lose a lot and you realize how quickly you can lose everything, like I feel very liberated from that experience, because I'm just like, I might not be here tomorrow, so why would I ever be low on confidence? I mean, this is still something I have to work with. Like, imposter syndrome is definitely a Jill thing, but that's been a huge thing. And just seeing, how you work and how you're constantly like, I know that you're human too, and you struggle with things, but you still are just so magical and confident. And seeing that as a model has been really important, because I haven't really had many models like this.
That's really nice. That means a lot. Thank you. I mean, we're all human. We had a conversation before we even hopped on live here that entrepreneurship is a constant game of like, it's going to work out. You have your struggles. You have your days where you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to pull this off. But the more that you have proof and the more experience you have, the less you feel like an imposter. And I think imposter syndrome is normal. It's natural. And if you don't have it, I think you might be a sociopath. So
It's so true.
Something's a little bit maybe wrong with you.
Yes.
So I just think imposter syndrome is so normal in the sense that, of course, you feel like an imposter. It's something you haven't done before. So your brain literally has no idea how to give you confidence to know that it will work, which is why I think it's so important. And it's part of the reason I created the Authority Accelerator, because it creates a container, just like you said. Why not me? Because you're in there every day. I go in there every day and I'm looking at what everyone's accomplishing and I'm like, well, hot damn. Like, get it, So it creates this container of possibility and of knowing that it's doable, because everybody in there starts from nothing. Everybody in there starts from a place where they need help and they need clarity. And then they follow the program and they have this mastermind community in there where we're all rooting each other on. And even though I'm the creator of it, I am very much so in the same shoes as you are. I'm like so inspired by everybody, including you, in what you've been able to accomplish. And I think the thing that's so interesting is that when we talked about kind of how you started your business and you were doing all of the things, and it was like trying to figure out the model that would work and trying to figure out, do I want to do a topical skincare, and having that whole packaging nightmare, to now knowing exactly how you want to show up in your business and you're helping people heal their acne from the inside out. It just shows me that simplification. And I say this all the time, business is simple. It takes hard work, don't get me wrong, and it comes in seasons. Some seasons are super easy and flowy. Some seasons that could last a day or a week or a month or a year are going to feel a little bit harder, but it always comes in seasons. And the more practice you have and the more time you have doing this, the more you know that you're capable of overcoming anything that you've been put through. And you and I have had a lot of conversations about being able to kind of look back and go, wow, look at what I've done. And when it comes to even this year, I'm watching you. You posted at the beginning of this month, you did 9 sales in 4 days.
Yeah, I think it might have ended up being 10, but it was definitely 9. I need to go back and look at the data. But yeah,
10 new clients
crazy
in 4 days.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is incredible. Yeah. And that might not mean much if you're sitting here going, okay, well, what does that really mean? But the beauty of that for me is seeing how far you've come in terms of pricing. Because when we started working together, you were charging $297 for your program.
Right.
And what are you charging today?
Today is $14.97.
I mean, can we all just give Jill some snaps for that? Because that is incredible. And I know that hasn't happened overnight. And something that we talk about is you can always go up, you can't go down. So you have gradually increased your price over time. I've been there on every step of the journey. You're like, it's $497, it's $597, it's $997, now it's $1497. Yeah. And what I think is so beautiful about that is you truly owning the value of what you're providing to people. So talk me through our journey of helping you land on the right price for what you do with your program.
I remember when I came in, and I remember the first few clients that I had, the $297, I felt like, oh my God, are they gonna buy this from me, right, at $297? And it's just all about how you perceive what you're doing and the impact you're having, because you have an exercise, and I feel like I'm gonna misname it, so I don't want to mess that up, but you have an exercise where you go through what your price should be.
Value-based pricing, yeah.
Value-based pricing, yeah. So what the cost to your client is over a long period of time. And for me, with acne, I hands down spent over $20K for 15 years, not to mention the emotional stress. And so at the point where I am now, right, I've been doing this for so long. If, again, like I mentioned, I can look at someone's skin, I can tell them why they're breaking out, what they need to do, and basically have them completely clear in 8 to 12 weeks, not a joke. And when I compare that to 20 plus years of dealing with acne, $20,000, it becomes much simpler. And to your point too, the more clients I worked with, the better I got. And so every time I got better, the program got better. I got better as a coach. And so over time, that confidence grew in me. And every time you and I spoke, you were always like, you need to go up, full stop. And even now, I'm probably going to increase the price by the end of the summer because, again, it completely clears people's skin in 2 months. It's insane.
And I want to touch on that. Something you said earlier, I think is so important, because when we do talk about value-based pricing, you're basing price on the value of the outcome you're providing to people. The biggest mistake people make when they price is they price based on time and effort.
Yeah.
And so you find these online courses that are jam-packed with all of this information, but people aren't paying for information. They're paying for the transformation. And especially in your world, they want that transformation quickly, because I struggled really badly with acne when I was in high school. And it was almost to the point that it was debilitating. I would want to miss school. I didn't want to go to events. It was really awful. It took a huge toll on my self-esteem. And so when we talk about the value of the outcome of what you provide, people are like, oh, nobody wants to pay for something if it doesn't make them money. I'm like, that is not true. People pay for things every day that aren't necessarily making them money, but they make them feel the way that they want to feel. And so it's a mental, emotional, and financial cost. Knowing what it's costing your clients or potential clients to not have the solution that you provide is a big determining factor in how to properly price your offer.
100%. And like the biggest thing that I would say, one of the biggest things that I focus on and why I price the offer the way it is now, and also why I'm going to be increasing it, is because I see my clients and they don't get that need met like when you go to the dermatologist, they just don't care. They like throw medicine at you and they're like, I hope it goes well. But like, I want every single client to feel seen and heard, and also to clear their skin. And it's like it's the most important thing to me, actually, really, for them to know that like they're being held in the program as they go through, and they're not alone, because so much of what I felt was alone and just so confused. And that's a very intangible thing. Like, how do I define that? But over the years, I've been like, that is the most important thing. Like, they're getting such deep emotional needs met in the program. And it's so important for me to meet those needs too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And I also, I know the answer to this question, but I'll ask you anyways, is as you've really become good at understanding the value of what you provide and the outcome of what you provide, how much better have your clients become?
Oh, I mean, it's a different story. I will never sell a lower price anything in my life, ever, 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 ever again, number one. And number two, like, I only want clients whose lives I know I'm going to change. And so like, I only want those clients that are in it to sign up.
Yeah.
And as a result, the ones that do join, that I invite to join, right? Like, it's transformative, as opposed to like, the first ever digital product I sold was a $19 ebook. And it's a good ebook, right? But I don't know if it had an impact on the person's life. I hope that it did. But like with my current clients, I know everyone's skin. I know what they're using. I know all the things about all the things. And so when I look, and like, they're deeply invested in the process too. And it's important to me that they get an incredible transformation, as opposed to just like information. Like, you can Google anything.
Yes.
But I want you to be invested in a shift from like, I'm going to put this drug in my body or put these things, to like, no, how can my body function more harmoniously? How can I support my skin so that, honestly, ideally, kind of like, I think what you teach, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I want to teach them how to fish. I don't want to give them fish.
Yes.
I want to teach them how to fish.
I want them to not need me. Yes. I want my clients to not need me. That's the ultimate goal. Like, you have me. We have lifetime access in our program, but I want you to not need me.
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing, because now really all you come to me for is to tell me how great of a win you've had, which
I do. You're right.
It's like this month you were like, I just did 9 sales in 4 days. And like, that's like $14,000. So it's like and also, I think it's the coolest thing ever, but it's this crazy ripple effect, which is why I do what I do. I want everybody that I work with to be able to create positive ripples out in the world in what their genius zone is. And what the craziest and coolest thing for me was that you actually had a client of mine come to you and work with you. Yeah. Your transformations are truly incredible. And again, that goes back to the simplicity of business. It's like, be good at what you do and create real transformation. Everything else will follow. And on that note, I wanted to ask you, because when you started talking, you said, you got into business because you wanted to create a lifestyle. So since enrolling in the Authority Accelerator and kind of like knowing the value and having the systems in place and being able to grow with more ease, how has your life changed?
I mean, like, I'm a different human, for sure, in the best way possible. When I joined in 2019, I had a full-time job. I was in school full-time, and I was doing this at like 4 a.m., right, when I woke up. Now, and so I probably worked like 70, 80, 90-hour weeks, depending on the week of fun that I was in, right? Because that's not fun. 90-hour weeks are like not fun.
No.
And you think they're cute when you're like 23, but
Yeah,
they're
then you're
not.
like, "Nope."
When I was younger, again, anyone young listening, like it's fun when you're, but it's not fun after a while. So now I work a totally normal amount of time. I also lived in a box apartment. Like it was a box. One day I'll probably share a video about it, but like my living situation was miserable because I live in New York City and everything's really expensive and I like to be financially responsible. And now I live in like a beautiful, my own apartment, 1-bedroom apartment in New York City. And I am able to prioritize my health. I take like a good long lunch every day. This is like a really funny quirk of mine. Something happens to me in the afternoon around 2 p.m. Okay.
I hear ya.
Where like I cannot, it's like you have to inject me with something to keep me awake, right? And when I was at a normal job, I was always like, literally, I would be falling asleep at my desk for just like an hour.
Yep.
And I was always like, I swear, they would get more out of me if I could just nap somewhere for 5 minutes. And I have built it into my schedule now. That like I eat lunch around like 12-ish, depending on the day, right? And then I have like a little cat nap for like 20 minutes in the middle of the day. It's like, it changed my life. I'm not
That
kidding.
is goals. That is goals. That should just be the tagline for the Authority Accelerator. You're going to make money, you're going to impact people, and you're going to nap every day.
Midday.
A little midday cat nap.
And I just need a little bit of time. But like I really struggled with this because when you're working at like a normal 9 to 5, I would just be like, Jill, just get over it. Just suck it up. And like I would sit there for 2.5 hours trying to stay awake when my body just needed to rest for like 5 seconds, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's embracing the rest and knowing that that rest is just as productive as the work. So I think that's such a great thing to share with people because I think it often goes unnoticed. All right. I do want to be respectful of time, so we are going to wrap up pretty quickly here, but I wanted to kind of touch on one other thing that I think leads to being able to create that balance in your life, which is creating consistency. Because I know for a long time for you, it was like one good month, one bad month, one good month, one bad month. And it's like this constant hamster wheel. Where are you at now in terms of consistency month over month?
I mean, it's a total 180 from where I was before. I think I'm very comfortable knowing that I'm now at like comfortable 5-figure months. And so like when you're there, it's a totally different world, number one. Number two, I see everything so differently now. You're like, before I started AA, I was just like, I'm going to throw up an Instagram post and a YouTube video, see where they go, right? So I live in the cloud sometimes, right? But now I'm like, no, everything needs to be part of a machine. It needs like that YouTube distribution checklist that you have in the Authority Accelerator. I remember just being like, oh my God. this all lives in my brain, right? But it's not on paper. No one else can do it. I can't delegate it to anyone. And just creating systems has enabled me to take naps in the afternoon. Like
that's all we want, you know? That's all we want.
Like a cat nap, a 17-minute cat nap.
I love it. I love it so much. And I'm so proud of you because I really do feel like I've been here every step of the way. So I'm so proud of you. We're going to open up to questions for the last 10 minutes of today's live. So if you do have questions, start dropping them into the chat. If you're enjoying this, be sure to hit that like button, share it out, tag somebody who maybe needs to hear this. If you're thinking about creating an online course, I did put the link in the comments and I've also put it on the screen right now. So sunnylenarduzzi.com/apply will take you to the page to actually speak to a real human being about how you can uncover your unique expertise and turn it into a highly scalable online course, which Jill has so beautifully done. And I wanted to ask you on that note as well, in terms of if somebody's on the fence right now and they're thinking about enrolling in the Authority Accelerator, because I know we have a lot of people who are like, I think I want it, but I'm scared. And I get that fear. I get that it's scary to invest in yourself. It's scary to take that, to commit to something when you have that sense, like we were talking about earlier, of like, your brain has no proof this is going to work. So like, how is it going to work? Even though it works for you and all of the other people we've talked to and all of the social proof that we have, it's hard to convince yourself that it'll work for you. So if someone's on the fence right now and they're thinking about the Authority Accelerator, what would you say to them?
I think, the biggest thing that you have to ask yourself, like, I really, really believe that one of the principles in life is like, you're either growing or you're dying a little bit, broadly speaking. And I think if you're on the fence about making a shift or deciding to change something, like really ask yourself what staying where you are right now will look like for you in 5 years. I think that was a big question for me when I joined Authority Accelerator. I was like, how would I feel right now today if I am still kind of in the same neighborhood in 3 years from now? And I was like, I cannot. And so you're constantly being presented with the opportunity for growth and change. You just have to kind of decide that you're ready for it. And I think, I became a CEO joining the Authority Accelerator. I was like kind of like doing it on the side, and I was like, YouTube video, I'll post it. But now, like, someone called me a CEO the other day. I was like, I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, me. And I think that's the question. Like, if you're ready to become a CEO and you're ready to like move into this whole new chapter, you should do it.
You should do it. And you should join Jill and I in there and all the other amazing human beings.
So
oh my gosh. It's just, I really don't think I anticipated how beautiful of a community we were building when we first started building this thing. And it really is, it's phenomenal. The people inside of this program are just such amazing humans and driven humans. And more than that, what I think is so amazing is that everyone is so supportive of one another and offers up advice and guidance. You don't have to, but you're now in a place where you're a vet and you can now go back and help people who are in the beginning phases and you were once there. So that guidance is so valuable because you've been in their shoes. And I just think it's the most amazing thing. Megan said, how long is your program? Do we get one-to-one coaching, or what exactly does the program look like? Program is lifetime access. It's broken into 4 phases of curriculum, but you have lifetime access to the program. It's a hybrid, I guess. You do get to speak to me one-to-one, but it's done in a group setting. And that actually creates more accelerated results for our program because everyone is able to then learn from one another. And if you have a question, most likely you're answering that question for somebody else. And I'm able to dive into it for multiple people at once. So yeah, so it's a hybrid. We speak in one-to-one settings like this, but it's done on a group call. Is this for someone who already had a course? I'm currently building mine, but I need help making it wildly successful, which I know it can be. This is absolutely for you if you have a course. So as Jill mentioned, she had done membership, she had done coaching. Had you made a course before?
I think I technically had this like as a little course, but it was much small, like different than it is now. But like I started Authority Accelerator with a very like small course.
Yeah. So we have a lot of people who come in who have programs. We actually have people who come in with 7-figure programs and 6-figure programs, and they still come in. They do every aspect of our rocket method inside the Authority Accelerator to ensure that their program is the best it can be. So Melissa, I would really, really recommend that you do apply. And that way we can actually speak to you about what you've built and how we can make it wildly successful. All right. I don't see too many other questions in terms of the investment. Because it's an application only program, we do discuss the investment because there's several options on the call. So you do need to apply. We need to make sure that you're a fit in order to ensure that you're good to go and we're able to help you become wildly invested. Because I think the thing to understand too is like we are invested. And I know Jill will say that. Like I'm like borderline stalker level with a lot of my clients. And it's because it is application only. When you get into this program, we know you're a fit. We know what you're capable of. So you better do the work because all you need to do is do the work. The entire blueprint for success is laid out for you. There is no guesswork for you. You get to talk to me twice a week. Like we're in the groups every day with you. Ricky, this is not for women only. We have a lot of really wonderful men inside this program.
A lot of
great guys.
Yeah. Super
how many group calls? We have 2 group calls a week, and they're forever and ever and ever. So yeah, we have 2 group calls a week. Is it for people that don't want to teach? I don't think you'd want to create an online course if you don't want to teach. Maybe I got that question wrong. Can Jill talk about her ICA process and how she found her niche? To me, that's key and a stumbling block right now. I feel like we kind of touched on how you found your niche. You struggled with acne yourself, and you realized that was the biggest thing that you would overcome, and you had done it in a unique way that dermatologists weren't able to help you with over 15 years. But do you want to talk about kind of the ICAs and how you got where you are?
At the beginning, I honestly got on the phone with a lot of people. I asked for a lot of feedback from friends and family. I did like a bunch of kind of exercises around my strengths, my weaknesses, and then I just chatted with people. And I remember the very first girl that I ever got on the phone with, I think this was a while ago. It was before I had joined AA, but I offered a bunch of people like consults with me.
Yeah.
To get on the phone with me. And my very first consult ever, we completely cleared her skin in like 30 days. And she's still like such a part of what I do now. And we message all the time. But I got on the phone with at least 50 people and asked them 25 questions each.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not mess around.
No.
And really wanted to know what they needed.
And that's really what makes your program so successful, because you know exactly what your clients need. Hope that helps, Mark. Hi, Mark, by the way. What if you don't know what you want to teach? We will help you uncover that. We help you uncover the right niche for you. Tanae, I'm 23 and I'm building a course now. Do you recommend me getting this course to help me build yours? I 150,000% recommend that you do. Otherwise, you're going to waste your time trying to figure it out on your own. And that's not a fun way to do it. So I would totally recommend you apply. Mozgan, I think we actually are talking to you. I'm so excited to have you inside the program. It is for anyone who wants to become the authority in their space. So that's really what it is. If you want to become the authority in your space, that's why you would want to enroll in this program. And it really is a business in a box, A to Z. So I'm really excited to welcome you in. And then, can more than one course be made with each covering a different topic? We don't really recommend that. We recommend you find the one thing with a huge transformation that you want to provide. Christine, we will help you figure out what to teach. I think that's all the questions. But of course, if you do have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. And we will be monitoring the comments over the next couple of days to make sure we catch them. If you're interested in creating your online course, drop a yes below and we'll make sure that you get the link to fill out an application to work with us. So if you drop a yes in the chat below, we will make sure that we get in touch with you to apply for the program. But I will drop the link one more time. It is on the screen as well. So you can apply now for the Authority Accelerator at sunnylenarduzzi.com/apply. Angela, if you want to just copy and paste that link I just dropped, you can go ahead and apply there. Jill, any parting words before we hop off of this?
I think, you were talking earlier about all the wonderful people in the program. That comes from you.
Oh.
Like, I've worked in so many different places, right? And culture in your community or your business, it always comes from the top. So, I mean, all of your community and all of your students and the kindness that you see, that is a direct result of how you work and how you conduct yourself. So I'm so thankful to be a part of it.
That's the nicest compliment anyone could give me.
It's true.
Thank you so much. Well, I mean, I think it's, we are mirrors for each other. And so that is why I just think our program is the most amazing, because I'm so grateful every day that we've attracted the people that we have and that I get to do this. The fact that I get to wake up every day and watch people like you fulfill your life's purpose and positively impact people in the way that you are. I mean, I tell everyone about you. Any of my friends who ever are struggling with their skin, I'm like, she is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean. When you become known for that one thing, you become the person that I recommend for everything. And I've done that with a lot of our clients. And your testimonials, your transformations, if you follow Jill on Instagram, her transformations are unreal with people's skin. So I highly recommend just checking her out if you have any struggles around that too. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing to have a community of people who are leaders and who are sharing such goodness and such impact with the world, and to be able to facilitate you in getting that out there to reach more people and to really uncover what it is that you are meant to be helping people with is the best thing I could ever do with my life. So thank you for your kind words. Yeah. Thank you for being such a rock star. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm so excited for your next year. You've already doubled what you did last year. So what's your prediction for this year?
Oh, I don't know. I live among the clouds, so I don't predict very well. I'm definitely going to have my first 6-figure year for sure. Yes! For sure. I don't know like how far that will go. And
it's already a 6-figure course between last year and this year. So
it is
very exciting.
So it's definitely going to be my first, it's just going to be the first time I look at the end of year and be like, wow, there's 6 figures there.
There's 6 digits there. That's
Yeah.
very exciting. Well, I love it. I'm so proud of you. I can't wait for that update. And everyone go check Jill out. What's your Instagram handle so people can go follow you as well?
It's Heal Your Face with Food.
Yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Awesome. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Share this out if you appreciated it. Give it a like, give it a comment, and we will give you that link if you commented with yes below in turning your experience into an online program. So hopefully you'll be next here talking to me. I can't wait. Thanks, Jill. Bye, everyone.
Bye.